We got 2 playing games tonight, 2 playing games tomorrow, 2 playing games on Friday, and then the whole thing starts on Saturday.
That is correct. Actually, before we get into the NBA playoffs, can we just talk about the disaster that is the Phoenix Suns for a minute?
What are you
Because
trying to do? Hijack the show already? First you hijacked the intro, now you're hijacking the first segment. What are we doing here?
think about this. They hired Mike Budenholzer, and he's gone after one season.
Yeah,
What the hell is going on in Phoenix?
they're a complete mess. We'll find out obviously what happens with Kevin Durant, but I do want to get to the playoffs because Seaboss is going to be here in approximately 35 minutes. So I guess we'll start with the play-in tournament games tonight. First one, Atlanta, Orlando. Second one, Memphis, Golden State. After Golden State and the Clippers had that tremendous game on Sunday and Golden State fell short, now they cannot play the Lakers until at least the semifinals. That's if they get past Houston tonight. My general feeling with the playing games is, it's a one-game tournament. Obviously anything can happen, a lot like March Madness. But in my opinion, at least out east, whoever wins these games are irrelevant. They're going to be smashed in the first round. So I'll just go with the home teams in the Magic and the Bulls, and then I will take Atlanta over Chicago. So I have Orlando as the 7. I have Atlanta as the 8. Out west, I'll do the same thing. Give me Golden State tonight to bounce back. I think for all intents and purposes, Golden State season's on the line because they cannot win a 7-game series against Oklahoma City. I think they defend home court. I don't really care who wins Sacramento or Dallas. I don't think either one of them have a chance to beat either Golden State or Memphis. So I have Memphis going to OKC, and I have Golden State going to Houston.
Okay. So I have Atlanta beating Orlando tonight and heading to Boston. Then I've got Orlando facing Chicago to see who will face us. And I've got the Magic setting up a rematch between us and the Magic, just like last year. As for the Western Conference, I think Ja Morant's status as a superstar is on the line tonight. I really do. Because you think about it. You got guys like SGA, Jokic, Anthony Edwards, Luka, who are, and all the cats in Houston. Amen Thompson is going to become a superstar. You can just tell. I love Jalen Green, so Houston's got some tats. So you've got all these guys who are definitively in the playoffs. Ja Morant is not. He has to go through the play-in tournament. And who's on the other side? Steph Curry. So, Ja, you want to prove you're a superstar? You got to win this game. Otherwise, me personally, I'm removing that superstar status from you.
I don't think he's a superstar right now. I think he's a very good player. For the record, to be clear, I think there's only about 5 superstars in the league.
And they're all in the Western Conference?
Actually, yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
Maybe one is in the East. Maybe. Though we'll have to wait and see how the playoffs turn out. So, do you have Golden State winning tonight? You never officially said.
Yes, I do have the Warriors going to, and they will face Houston. And then Memphis will smash either Dallas or Sacramento. Doesn't really matter.
Okay, so the West we agree on. The East we're basically flip-flopping 8 and 7, which is fine by me.
Yes.
So let's get into the first round. The way we're going to do this, we're going to do the entire East first because I think the East is more simple than the West. And then we'll get into the West, and then we'll see who meets who in the finals. Let's start with the first round. We're going to start up top, move our way down. Number 1 seed. So I have Cleveland against Atlanta. You have Cleveland against Orlando. I actually think your matchup is an easier matchup for the Cavs because I don't think Orlando can shoot. And I think that either way, the Cavs will sweep whoever. I think the Cavs are going to make a statement. I think that the playoffs are a 4 game series in a 7 game span that you have to win 4 out of 7. I think the playoff rules of them allowing more physicality, you not getting the whistle, that benefits Cleveland over Atlanta. I think you can rough up Trae Young a lot. And Atlanta's got some nice players, including Karis LeVert and George Niang. But us getting DeAndre Hunter from Atlanta at the trade deadline in that deal, I think is significant. I think Atlanta may give you a tough game 3 or 4 at home, but I think at the end of the day, the Cavs just have the overall better team. They will beat Atlanta in 4.
So with Orlando, Orlando has given us trouble a little bit this season. Well, for the most part, we took care of them, and we know it went to a game all the way to a game 7 last year. Maybe part of that was because of your favorite head coach, JB Bickerstaff, although he's doing a great job in Detroit, so you got to give him his credit.
I wouldn't use the word great.
I was being a little bit sarcastic. Well, okay, well, I'll get to this
We're
now.
about to get to the Pistons, so.
Okay, I'll save it for then. But do I think it goes to a game 7? No. But I do think Orlando could push us to maybe a game 5, possibly a game 6. But
I'd be willing to bet whatever Dr. Pepper you want to put on the line. If it is Orlando, it will not get to a game 6.
That's why I said possibly a game 6. But
I think those two teams are completely different than what they were a year ago. I think the Cavs upgraded in coaching, and I think Orlando actually got worse. Some of that has to do with injury, but they're actually a worse shooting team this year than they were a year ago. The Cavs are a better shooting team than they were a year ago. A healthy Jared Allen in this series would also make a big difference. I think no matter what, the Cavs will sweep whoever is the 7 or 8.
I have the Cavs in 5 against Orlando.
Okay, so let's go then to the 2 seeds. So I have Celtics Magic, you have Celtics Hawks. I don't think this one matters either. I think the same fate will spell the winner of the play-in tournament. I think Boston will outshoot them. They will shoot 63s a game. They will dominate defensively, and this will be, in my opinion, a 4-game clean sweep across the board.
Again, I have to give Atlanta at least 1 game. Not because I don't think Boston is capable of sweeping them, but Trae Young has given Boston problems in the past. I know it's like a different team and all that, but I'm not just going to discount Trae Young like that. So I'll give Atlanta game 4 to avoid getting swept. Series goes back to Boston. Celtics take care of business.
See, I actually think if Atlanta's going to steal a game, it would be game 1 or game 2 in Boston. Because the Celtics historically in this era with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and this season, they've actually been a better road team than a home team. And sometimes they lose focus. And I feel like if you're Atlanta, if you're going to give yourself a fight in a series against a shooting team like Boston, you feel like you got to steal the first 2. One of the first 2, I should say.
Okay. I could see that. Atlanta has had success in Boston in the playoffs. We've seen that. And Boston last season, they lost at least 1 home game in every series until they played Dallas.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Historically, in this era, they have been a better road team than a home team in the postseason. And that's dating back to when Tatum and Brown got together in 17-18. So all the way through these runs. Listen, whoever wins this next series between the Knicks and Pistons are going to get annihilated by Boston. So it really doesn't matter. I think Detroit's been a nice story, but I think their story ends here. We saw JB Bickerstaff get worked in coaching by Tom Thibodeau 2 years ago when the Knicks faced off what, in my opinion, was a better Cavs team than this Detroit team and beat them in 5 games. I'll be nice and I'll say Bickerstaff finds a way to get 1 game. I think the Knicks are a flawed team, but I don't think this is a close matchup. I think Detroit is a nice story, but nice stories end in the postseason. Give me Knicks in 5.
I got Knicks in 6. I think the Pistons are a very dangerous team. It would it surprise me if they pulled off the win ultimately in this series? No, it would not. Um, Kate
Wow.
Cunningham, Kate
You,
Cunningham has played really well against the Knicks this season. I believe he's averaged over 30. Um, and you can just tell Detroit is putting it together at the right time. And I don't like how the Knicks are playing down the stretch. I really don't. Um, the way they blew that 20, what was it, a 23-point lead against us?
without Donovan Mitchell, by the way. And here's the thing: the Knicks are 0-8 against the Celtics and Cavs this year, but they've only lost 9 games against the rest of the Eastern Conference.
I believe that, no, actually, I believe against the Thunder, the Pistons, the Celtics, and the Cavs, they're 1-11. If I remember.
So they can beat everybody else, but the great teams in the league essentially. Listen, I think Jalen Brunson's the best player in the series. I
Oh, I
think
don't know about that.
I think he is, and I think Carl Anthony Towns is the second best player in the series. I can Cade Cunningham have the greatest playoff series for the Pistons in the last 20 years? Maybe, but I think in the playoffs, when you get down to strategy and strategic and defense, Thibodeau has an edge to me over Bickerstaff, and that's the difference in the series. I think the Knicks have more experience and they have better players.
I think when you look at the Pistons, they're kind of playing like the '04 team did when they won the championship. They're kind of playing like the bad boys back in the
But
day.
that team was a top seed. That team wasn't a sixth seed in the Eastern Conference.
That part is true. I'm just saying they're playing like that. I'm not saying they are that team, but the way they're playing right now, you look at their style. This is not going to be a series for the faint of heart. I don't.
If you like defense and rebounding, this is the series for you.
I
Um,
so
so
I got Knicks in 6, but would it, like I said, would it surprise me if Detroit ultimately wins the series? No.
So up to this point, in my opinion, the Eastern Conference is basically going to be a cakewalk. There's only one good series in the East in the first round, in my opinion, which is Milwaukee and Indiana. And this is a very interesting series because Indiana, they are the 4 seed. Though you do feel like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was that one-ish superstar player I was alluding to, if you want to make a case for him in the East, you can. The problem is he has not been healthy for the last 2 postseasons. And this year, he's going to be without Damian Lillard, who may or may not be back for the postseason, but at least for this series, sounds like he's a no go. My question is outside of Giannis, who does Milwaukee have? Brook Lopez, nice player. Bobby Portis, nice player. Kevin Porter, nice player. But do they have anybody who can consistently come along for the ride with Giannis? This is a first round matchup last year where Milwaukee, without Giannis, did take Indiana to 6. But for whatever reason, the Pacers and Rick Carlisle do feel like a team with Halliburton, Siakam, and Turner, where they can get a lot of production. Don't forget about Andrew Nembhard off the bench as well.
And Neesmith as well.
Neesmith, absolutely. So I actually think this is by far the best series in the first round in the East. I think it's the same thing as last year. I think Indiana in 6.
I I'm gonna go with the Pacers, but I actually have Milwaukee pushing this to a game 7. Somehow, some way, this goes to a game 7. Indiana wins it.
To me, I mean, what does it say about Giannis? As we've talked about, right? The last couple of years, he's been, ever since winning the championship, he was in the conversation for the best player in the world. And for whatever reason, the last few years, he's been hurt in the postseason or the team just hasn't been as good. And so we both have Cleveland against Indiana in the second round, as well as the Boston and the Knicks. And let's start with the 1 versus 4. Let's start with the Cavs and Pacers. I respect Indiana after what they did last year and made the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think part of that is having to do with the Knicks suffering all those injuries in the second round. Indiana can shoot, and they have bigs that can match up with Cleveland. The problem is they just cannot do so as effectively. Indiana is a little bit of a problematic matchup for the Cavs in some areas because of their shooting ability. So I don't think this will be a sweep. I'll give Indiana credit. I'll say this goes to a game six. I wouldn't actually be surprised if this goes to a game five, but I have Cavs advancing over Indiana.
I got Cavs in 7. I think this is,
Wow, you think this goes all the way to seven?
yeah, Indiana has proven to be a problem for us. Um, they took 3 out of 4 against us this season. Um, and sorry, there we go.
Bless you.
Thanks. Um, the Pacers have proven to be a problem for us this season. You got Miles Turner and Siakam, who have caused matchup problems against Allen and Mobley. Tyrese Halliburton has shown that he can turn it on. You got Ben Shepherd coming off the bench, Ben Matherin, Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nemhard. They've got a lot of good pieces. So Indiana is not just going to go away. We're going to have to put them away. And I think this series goes to a game 7. I really do.
I think Indiana is Cavs light, where they have the pieces. They're very similar built to Cleveland. They just don't have the top end talent that Cleveland does, and that's my takeaway. That's why I think that it only goes 6. This may shock you. I have the Celtics sweeping the Knicks. I don't think the Knicks match up well with Boston at all. I don't think they can shoot. I don't think they have the depth. I think they will be worn out by the second round. And I don't know if any of these games are even particularly close.
Well, I hope that's not the case, because if we make it to the conference finals, I want Boston to not necessarily be injured, but be a little bit roughed up in the series with the Knicks. So I hope it's not a sweep. Granted, I have the series between us and the Pacers going to a game 7, but still, I'm hoping the series between the Knicks and Celtics goes to at least a game 6. I'm hoping so.
Is that your prediction?
No. So again, that's what I'm hoping for, but Boston has shown that they're just a better team. The Knicks have not shown the ability to beat the Cavs or the Celtics. So I'll go with Celtics in 5, but I'd love for it to go 6, maybe 7, so that the Cavs can take advantage of that in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay. This is the matchup we've all been waiting for, obviously. It's the matchup we both picked. Number 2, number 1, Celtics Cavs. I actually think that home court advantage matters most in the NBA than it does in all the other playoffs, and that's mostly because the fans are right on top of you there in that arena. It gets loud, it gets crazy, and I think that this series goes 7. It is my it's my one and only prediction for a game 7 in the Eastern Conference, and I think that this series gets to 7, not necessarily by both teams holding home court. I can see both teams stealing a game on the road between games 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we go back to Cleveland tied 2 games apiece, and then each team will win game 5 and game 6 on their home court. I think this series comes down to the fact that the Cavs have a healthy Jared Allen that they did not last year. I think Jared Allen's rim protection is a big difference against Kristaps Porzingis, who, even though he can shoot, is not a great rim protector. I think as the playoffs go on, guys like DeAndre Hunter, Max Strus, who was huge in that Miami series a couple years ago when they made their run to the finals, even a kid like Sam Merrill, even a guy like Dean Wade. I think those guys gain confidence as the series goes on. I think that is the difference in the series. The Cavs' physicality, the Cavs' willing to go inside, the Cavs' ability to defend the 3-point shot, where Boston will be too reliant on the free, and it will be their downfall. And for the seventh consecutive year in the NBA, the team that won the NBA championship last season does not make the NBA Finals. Cavs in seven.
This is the series we've all wanted. And Jesse, he knows this. He's a Celtics fan. I've interacted with him. I'm in his Discord server with a bunch of Boston Celtics fans. He knows it. They all know it. This is the series we want. If we do not get Cavaliers Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, it is a major disappointment.
Something will go horribly wrong for either team.
Yes. If for example, it's Pacers Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals,
there's no way they both. I'll bet every ounce of money in my bank account that both of them will not make it. There's no way.
I'm just saying if it's that series. I'm not saying it will be.
Oh, I'm just saying there's no way there's that's a 0% shot.
Or if it's Cavs Knicks, for example, that's a major disappointment because these 4 games between the Cavaliers and the Celtics have been fantastic. I hold a sports grudge against the Celtics. And the only way my grudge will be relieved is if we defeat them this season in the Eastern Conference Finals. That is the only way. If we lose, the grudge continues. God, there's so much you could talk about with this series. There really is. I could go on and on. There's no way the road team isn't going to win 1 or 2 games in this series. I could see Boston winning possibly game 2 and game 5 in Cleveland, and the Cavs winning game 4 and game 6 in Boston. I think that's kind of how it's going to go. I got Cavs in 7. I think game 7 being in Cleveland is what makes the difference. I know Boston has been a better road team, but Cleveland being at home, game 7, I feel like in that scenario, all the pressure is on Boston to get back, to go into Cleveland and defend your Eastern Conference championship.
I actually disagree with that because I think if there's a game 7 on your court, the pressure's on you to defend it. You've earned that home court advantage. Now go defend it. Okay. Even if you're going up against the defending champions.
Interesting.
No.
I get your viewpoint on that, but like Boston is the defending champs. The pressure's on you to go on the road, silence the home crowd, show why you won the championship.
Yeah, there's certainly arguments to be made with both. Okay, let's go to the West now. Listen, I'll just start here. 1 verse 8. I think Oklahoma City sweeps Memphis. I don't think it matters. Whoever, by the way, if it's Golden State, they probably sweep Golden State too, because I don't think Golden State matches up well with Oklahoma City. I think the Thunder will, at least early in this postseason, look to show people why they are a 68-win basketball team. I don't know if any of these games against Memphis will be close. They could all be won by 10 or 15 points.
So I was in OKC for the game against Memphis. They were without John Morant. And the Grizzlies found a way to keep it close for most of the game. Granted, they still had Taylor Jenkins in what turned out to be his final game as their head coach.
Yep.
But OKC then in like the fourth quarter, they just blew it open and ended up winning 125-104. The Thunder will have the 2 best players on the court in SGA and Chet Holmgren. And Yeah, I got OKC sweeping. This is my first sweep of the playoffs.
Okay, let's go then to the 7v2 matchup, which this is my upset of the playoffs. I was back and forth on this. I debated it. It is the veteran versus the youth. And we don't know yet what the status of Jimmy Butler's knee injury is that he suffered late in overtime of that game against the Clippers. If it is more serious than I believe it will, that gives Houston an advantage. But I go back on this. I like the Rockets a lot. They had a great season. I did predict them to be the Thunder of this year. You talk about your Indiana prediction. That was my biggest right of the whole year. Was I predicted the Houston Rockets to be in this position. I like Ahmed Thompson. I think he's going to be a really good superstar-ish player one day. I like Sengun. He's going to be a very good player one day. I think Jalen Green is going to be a good player someday, but I think out of the three of them that I just mentioned, he's probably third on the list of options right now. I know Houston a couple weeks ago held Steph Curry to 3 points. I actually think that was Houston showing too much in their hands of a regular season game. I think Golden State will be ready for it. They will counter it. And I think at the end of the day, in this series specifically, Steph and Jimmy Butler, if healthy, are probably the two best players in the series. I think Golden State can steal one in Houston and hold serve at home and win it in six.
the, this series is such a toss up for me because this is the series that I'm first round series where I'm kind of the most wishy washy on because I could make an argument for Golden State, but I could also make an argument for Houston. I've been going back and forth on this series. I'm I want the story with the Rockets to continue. I really do. But Steph is the greatest shooter God has ever created. Um, we'll see how not having Klay Thompson there affects him this postseason. I do think that we will see that shortage, if you will, or loss. But ultimately, I do think Houston outlasts Golden State. I have this series going game seven.
Okay, and that's our first real difference. And I think if it goes, what this series sort of reminds me of, though I think Houston has better talent, is the series a couple years ago when Golden State beat Sacramento, where it was like Sacramento had a very good team, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, but Golden State had the veteranness, and they were just able to outcoach and outlast barely Houston. Now, I think Ime Udoka's or Sacramento. I think Ime Udoka's done a good job with Houston. Again, I could see them winning this series. My issue with it, though, is I think history will tell you veteranness wins in the playoffs more than youth.
Yes, I understand that sentiment, but the thing is that like kind of like what I was saying about the Pistons against the Knicks, they don't know any better. So in that sense, I would kind of say going back to that Pistons Knicks series, the pressure is on New York.
And without a doubt, is on New York. Like the pressure here is on Golden State.
And that's exactly what I'm getting at.
But correct. When you get veteran teams in the playoffs, when there's a difference between having a tight game in the regular season and a tight game in the postseason. And I think if Golden State didn't have Jimmy Butler, I would take Houston. I think the fact they have Steph and Jimmy, and Houston doesn't really have that go-to guy that's been there and done that yet, is the difference. If Houston was in the playoffs last year, even, I probably would take Houston. They just haven't done it yet.
And no, that's totally valid. Plus, you do have playoff Jimmy, but
last year Jimmy was horrible in the playoffs. We got to see it again. I mean, I'm going based off. I think Steph Curry can win you the A game in the series to tilt the tide.
Okay, and I could see that, but the thing with Golden State is who else are they going to get production from other than Steph?
I
And
think Buddy Hield, you'll see have a big series. I think he will be one of the keys, and I actually think Pods will give you a lot of good production. A Pod strike. The fact that Steve Kerr plays him over Kaminga and these other guys tells me he thinks Pods is ready for the postseason.
that, but that's my biggest reason why I'm taking Houston is because I don't know if I can trust Golden State's supporting cast. I know what I'm gonna get from Steph. Usually, I know what I'm gonna get from Jimmy around this time of year, but I'm not sure what I'm gonna get from the others. And come postseason time, I get it. A lot of it comes down to that superstar type player, but it's also that supporting cast. And I just have a lot of questions about Golden State's supporting cast right now.
LeBron and Luca against Anthony Edwards in Minnesota. And after Minnesota had so much promise at the end of last year, they were the 3 seed. They knock off the defending world champions. They get to the Western Conference Finals. Then it becomes Anthony Edwards' team, and they make the trade for Karl-Anthony Towns for Julius Randle. And while they are playing really good basketball right now, I think Anthony Edwards is going to become too reliant on his jumper in this series. And theoretically, Minnesota has the height advantage because we all know the Lakers don't have a center, and Rudy Gobert could dominate the series. But I don't think Rudy Gobert knows how to dominate anybody. And there is no disrespect to Anthony Edwards here. I think the 2 best players and 3 out of the 4 best players of this series, which includes Austin Reeves, is on the Lakers. I got the Lakers in 6.
Man, this is another one where you kind of get flashbacks to last season because you got Ant going against Luka. And who was it that went into Minnesota and dominated?
That's the key word, dominate.
And it was Luka. So I know Luka's in a different jersey, but is Ant gonna have that revenge on his mind? Is he gonna use that to fuel his team? Well, I believe so, but will it be enough? I don't think so. The Lakers have LeBron and Luka. The Timberwolves do not. What are you gonna do? You put your best defender on Luka, and then you put your second and third best defenders on LeBron and Austin Reeves? Not really a recipe for success right there. I got Lakers in 6, like you.
Okay. This next series is going to be the battle of does coaching matter in the NBA or not? Because the Denver Nuggets have what, in my opinion, is the undisputed best player in the world, but their coach has been coaching the last 3 games of the season. And we don't know about Jamal Murray's health. And the Clippers have been playing hot. They've won their last 9 games. James Harden, along with number 2, Kawhi Leonard, has been out of this world. Norman Powell has had a career year. Zubac is doing great at protecting the rim. They have a great head coach, a championship-winning head coach in Tyronn Lue. Everything tells me the Clippers should win this series and probably win it in 6. But I don't trust the health of Kawhi Leonard.
Neither do I.
And I think somewhere down the line, he's going to bang knees with somebody and get banged up in this series. And Zubac is a good defender, but I don't know if he has the answer for Jokic. And I don't know if Jokic is going to get any help in this series. But I think Jokic could beat the Clippers by himself. And for that reason, I'm taking Denver in 7. I really don't know why. It's just a gut feeling that Jokic outplays Kawhi and Harden in the series, and that's enough.
That's the big thing. Kawhi could stub his toe and be out for 6 weeks. Like, we haven't seen Kawhi really go playoff mode since the 2019 Toronto Raptors. We haven't seen it with Kawhi because he's been injured. He's playing well. He looks healthy, but can I trust it? I don't know. But here's the thing. I really like the way James Harden and Norman Powell are playing, and I think that's enough to offset what Jokic is going to do. And with Jamal Murray perhaps compensated health wise, I'm giving the Clippers the edge in 6.
Okay. So I have Denver taking on Oklahoma City in what I believe will be a fantastic series. I think it's the battle of the two best players in basketball right now between SGA, Nikola Jokic. I think it's the battle between the two MVP frontrunners. I think SGA will win it, by the way. And I think that at the end of the day, the Thunder's youth, their bench depth is just too much for Denver to overcome. I actually think, again, it goes 7 games, but I like the Thunder.
So with Thunder Clippers, this is the series where I think Kawhi bows out because an injury will cause him to bail, and the Thunder take full advantage. And I'll give the Clippers 2 games without Kawhi because James Harden is capable of that. Although come postseason time, I'm not sure I trust James Harden either. And that's part of it. The Clippers just have too many question marks. They're able to beat Denver, but they bow out against the Thunder in 5.
So you have Rockets Lakers. I have Warriors Lakers. I think this is where Golden State bows out. I think this is where Jimmy Butler struggles. His playoff history against LeBron is he has struggled. I don't think Steph can carry Golden State as much as I think they can match up with LA with their shooting. I think the Lakers just again, I think Austin Reeves being that third level scorer, being that third guy that can handle the ball, along with the likes of LeBron and Luca, and they got some other guys out there on the wing as well. I think that this Lakers team is set up to go head to head with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the WCF. Give me Lakers in 6.
So like you said, you have Warriors Lakers. I have Rockets Lakers, which would give the Rockets home court advantage. But I do think the Lakers are capable of going into Houston and winning a game on the road. However, I think the Rockets are capable, even with their youth, they're capable of going into LA and beating the Lakers. So I have this series going to a game 7 in Houston, but I'm not counting out LeBron and Luca, even on the road in a game 7. Give me Lakers in 7.
Oh, you set up. That was a nice tease. I thought you were going Houston in 7. So good job by you. So we agree then on both conference finals. We both have Celtics Cavs. We both have Lakers Thunder. Oklahoma City has had a great season, but I don't think it's meant to be. I think they're a year away. I think LeBron and Luca are on that mission to avenge the Luka Doncic trade from Dallas. And again, this may be hard overhead, but for me, this would be, and I'm not over exaggerating, this is what I want because I think it would be the greatest storyline in the history of the NBA Finals.
Yes,
Cavs, Lakers.
It certainly would be. I
had the Lakers in 6, by the way. I know I did not say that.
Okay. LeBron and Luka have been awesome together. And JJ Redick has done a great job coaching. But even with their youth, OKC looks like they're out to prove people like you wrong and show that they are, in fact, ready to take that last step. This is their second straight year being the number 1 seed. I think they learned from losing that series last year against Dallas. They're not going to have to deal with the total mismatch because the Lakers don't have a big. I think Chet Holmgren can take advantage of that. Even if he doesn't necessarily play down low, the fact that he's a big who can step out and shoot, I think will make the difference. Yes, I'm saying Chet Holmgren will make the difference, though SGA is the top player for OKC. I got Thunder in 7.
Okay, so we have a lot of game sevens out west. Again, I think the West is going to be an absolute war. Unlike the East, where I think one series will be a war, you think Indiana gives the Cavs a better fight than I do. But the NBA has not had a game seven in the NBA Finals since our Cavs and Golden State Warriors went at it in 2016. I do think whether it's Lakers Celtics, whether it's Lakers Cavs, whether it's Celtics Thunder, whether it's Thunder Cavs, this is their best shot to have a game seven in years. And so for my finals, it would take place in Cleveland. I predict it will be a game seven in Cleveland. And I think the Cavs will, at the end of the day, be having a parade on East 9th Street because the Cleveland Cavaliers, led by who will be the NBA Finals MVP, and his name is not Donovan Mitchell. His name is Evan Mobley, who will arrive in these playoffs and will undoubtedly, in my opinion, may become a top 10 player in the NBA by the time these playoffs come and pass. I think this is Evan Mobley's dominant postseason, and I think that the Cavs raise the Larry O'Brien trophy.
Man, I so badly want to pick the Cavs, but OKC has been so good at home. And when we played them in OKC, we got absolutely KO'd. And I saw how good the Thunder are on their home court. God. I genuinely, this is another series where I'm like, I don't know. I really don't. I want to be a homer and pick the Cavs. I really do. I kind of want to go with OKC, though. It feels like SGA takes that next step and puts OKC over the top, and they get their first championship in franchise history. I'll say OKC in 7. I want to pick the Cavs. I do. But I just think the Thunder having home court advantage and having game 7 in OKC makes the difference.
So there it is on the screen. There's our official NBA playoff predictions. I have the Cavs over Lakers in 7. You have the Thunder over Cavs in 7. Correct me if I'm wrong. If the Thunder do win the championship, my guess would be SGA would win MVP.
Yes.
And I have Evan Mobley for Cleveland, who, again, no disrespect to Donovan Mitchell, but I have realized here over the past few weeks, I kept saying before for Cleveland, it didn't matter if Darius Garland or Evan Mobley between 2 and 3, who was their second best player. I've changed my opinion on that. I think it does matter. I think Evan Mobley is better than Darius Garland at this point, and I think Evan Mobley may become the best player by the time the finals end. Preseason, I had Oklahoma City over Boston, so I will not be the worst man in the world if that came to pass, because it would prove my early preseason prediction right. But I think as the season goes on, to me, with all the changes in the postseason, I really think Cavs Lakers. I could see the Thunder definitely, but I think the Cavs are just a tiny bit better than Boston.
If it is Cavs Lakers, the NBA would excuse my French here, but the NBA would shit itself from just pure excitement.
The weird thing is everybody's talking about the dream matchup between Boston and LA, and I think I get it, the history, the big markets. I don't think people have connected the dots yet, even in this city, that the Cavs Lakers are a possibility.
Yeah, I would agree with you.